Hello everyone and welcome to the Jus As Pilot YouTube channel. My name is Mauricio Mendoza, and for those of you who are new to the channel, know that here we talk with the people that are involved in the aviation and aerospace industry. Today, along with Genesis, we had the opportunity to talk to a great pilot. He's probably also one of the youngest airline pilots out there. He comes from Peru, his name is Sergio, and he has so many great things to tell us. So without further ado, let's just jump right to it.
Welcome back everyone to our Jus As Pilot YouTube channel. My name is Genesis and today we have a very special guest, Sergio, or Pilot Sergio. Welcome.
Thank you.
Awesome. So Sergio, to start this interview, we wanted to ask you, how old were you? How old were you when you first started working at a regional airline? And what was your reaction when you found out you got hired?
So I was 21 when I started class. It was back in 2017 in May. I turned 21 in April. So a week after my birthday, I was starting class in Indianapolis for Republic. I already knew I was going to be working for Republic because I interviewed with them a year before when I was still at Riddle as an instructor. They went to the career fair in 2016. And I got in touch with the recruiter. They offered me an interview right there. They did a bunch of testing. Well, actually, it was one test, which was an online test of basically an ATP knowledge written test. After the next day, I got the email saying I got accepted and I passed the interview. So it was just a matter of getting the flight time and becoming legal as far as being 21 years old to be able to fly for them. So, I mean, I already knew where I was going to work for. And I was really happy with the decision I made. I don't think I would have chosen other regional besides Republic.
Wow, that's great. That's a great birthday present.
It was pretty cool.
Awesome. Sure. Thank you.
I have a question for you. So since you mentioned you are from a foreign country, what factors did you consider when choosing to become a pilot in the USA or in another country?
So, I mean, I was fortunate enough. I was born in Peru, but through my dad, I was able to get the US citizenship. So I knew I was able to work here in the United States. I know it's not a reality for many people who would be able to work here and they either do not have a green card or citizenship to do so. But I mean, there are still the direct means, such as becoming, for example, I knew a few friends who became an instructor at the university, and then they were able to obtain their green card through the university as flight instructors. It took them a few years, but they eventually got it. So it's an option. And I mean, obviously the language is a barrier for some people. I struggled with it at the beginning a little bit with the classes and flying, handling both. But I think the more I was exposed to it every day, it got better and better and better with time.
Well, that's
How old were you when you moved?
How old was I? What? Sorry.
How old were you when you moved to the US?
I was 17 years old.
Oh, that's crazy. You did it pretty fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. So our next question is about your transition from Republic Airways to then Spirit, then Delta. How did you do that? I mean, that was really fast. I mean, you're very young and many people, I don't know, like to stay at the airlines for a long time. So how did that transition look like for you?
So the transition first from Republic to Spirit was, it happened at a time in which I was about to upgrade at Republic, and I had already applied to Spirit, but I didn't hear back for a few months because I don't think they were hiring at the time, but I applied. I put my bid to become a captain at Republic, and I actually got awarded captain. I was going to start training in October of 2019. And right about when I was going to start training is when I received the email from Spirit for the interview. I decided to actually go to the interview and was offered the position later. It was a decision of whether to stay at Republic or to move on to Spirit. And I think it wasn't a right or wrong choice. I did what I felt like I had to do at the moment. It was a great experience. I'm not going to say anything bad about Spirit. I actually enjoyed a lot flying for them. When I was in training at Spirit is when I received an email from Delta to interview with them, which caught me a bit by surprise in a way, because I was still in training. I had a lot going on with the type rating training. Spirit training is pretty challenging. It's very short, and you don't get a lot of simulators because of how they are. It's low cost airline. They try to save money everywhere they can, really. So I did make the decision to go to the interview at Delta and prepare for the interview, which took a while. It was about a month and a half. I studied for it and prepared for it while I was in training at Spirit. So I was only at Spirit for about a total of 4 or 5 months, I think, from October all the way to January. Started training at Delta in February of this year. But it was a great experience, and I think anybody considering them, they should give them a try, because it's a good airline.
Wow, that's great. I mean, totally. When I was looking at your profile and everything, and I realized that you flew for the 3 of them, and I was like, how did he do that so fast? You know?
Yes,
Yeah.
it's amazing.
I think it was in industry. It's always a mix of luck. I mean, you need to be somewhat lucky, but you also need to put the hard work. And it was a combination of being lucky and also having put the hard work, because you don't know what's going to happen, what's going on right now. You could be the most hardworking pilot. You can graduate with a 4.0 and be a star, and you're just not going to get hired right now because of COVID. So I do think the industry is very luck dependent sometimes, believe it or not. And I got to the point where I was lucky to be in that point of having worked hard, but also being at a time in which the industry was going great and nobody would have seen it going another way the way it's right now.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and yeah, talking about the situation and everything going, how has the pandemic affected your career and your plan goals?
So I right now I'm obviously still employed by Delta. There hasn't been a decision yet. It's coming up of whether we're going to get furloughed or not. If we get furloughed, then obviously we don't know what the furlough is going to be. It could be a year, could be more. It all depends on how quickly the industry comes back. But in the meantime, I'm going to possibly look for other opportunities. Delta is my goal, and I know Delta is going to be there when it's over in the next couple of years, whatever it takes for the recovery to be. So once they call me back, my goal is to, again, be a first officer for them, and eventually become a captain as soon as I can, because it's an experience I've never had yet. I couldn't do it at Republic. I obviously wasn't a captain at Spirit, so becoming a captain is like next goal in my life. It's something that is very unique, and I definitely want to do it as soon as I can. So that's the next goal in
yeah, of course,
the future.
Yeah, right now the situation is very hard, but I saw that you were studying something. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I'm currently doing a master's through Riddle worldwide, and I'm about halfway through. So it's just another way to eventually, I think I would like to also be part of management at the airline. It would be nice to fly as well, but have more of an office job or a management position, and fly just whenever I want. And so it's an opportunity to seek another role within within Delta. And also in case if I ever were to not be able to fly because of a medical issue or anything that happens to me, it's a backup for that.
Of course. Yeah, it's a great thing. And especially like knowing that you're very young still, knowing that you still have a lot of things to study and a lot of opportunities.
Yeah.
And so it's a great thing that you are taking advantage
Right,
of
yeah.
the time you have right now.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's not something everybody should do. Some people just do not. Many people don't have a master's degree, and it's perfectly fine. It's not for everybody. If you have the passion to do it and you have the means to do it, why not?
Yeah.
But hired by any means at all.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
I have another question for you. And since there are a lot of people everywhere and we have a lot of these questions every day in our social media, what do you advise to international students who struggle financially and are planning to become a pilot or pursue a career in aviation?
Just international students?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's hard because if you're an international student, you obviously do not have the government scholarships or grants or any government help, really. You definitely have access to scholarships given by the university. So one of the advices would be to make sure you look into those opportunities at your school where you're applying, because they might be able to offer pretty good scholarships depending on your grades in high school and middle school. And I know certain universities even can offer like full tuition for their students just based on some sort of criteria that you have to go through when you apply. And so look into those. Every school is different. Every school will have a different system. That's one option. And then, the other option is working on the side and potentially being able to, with what you're working, pay your flight to school. But it's hard. It's not easy. I was fortunate that I had the help of my parents. That was huge for me. But I also applied to scholarships and I got quite a few. So I think everybody should look into those. So you shouldn't just assume you're not going to get them, because you just might get them and be able to help part of your training with that.
Great. That's a great piece of advice. I mean, many people ask us that question, and it's good to hear it from someone that kind of already went through that. So thank you very much for that. And so for our next question, I wanted to ask you, what's the most challenging part about applying for a job as an airline pilot?
Well, I mean, it used to be very easy. It used to be extremely easy. When you got your time, you got hired by a regional airline, the interview was very easy. So now going to the majors, that was different. It was more competitive. Now with COVID, even I think regional hiring will be a lot more competitive in the future. That's for sure. And even harder for the majors to get hired by the majors. So because of how much the airlines have already said that they are not going to grow for a while, and they're actually going to be smaller for a while. So that means they're not going to need as many pilots in the future. So I would say is that's I mean, not the greatest news to hear for somebody that's about to go out and be ready to work for the airlines. But it is also like a wake-up call to yourself to be like, okay, what do I have to do to become more competitive when the airlines do hire back? What can I do to stand out? What can I do to be noticed by the recruiters and be offered a position? So it's good and bad, but you just have to know the situation you're in and prepare for that.
Of course, yeah, this is not a time to just sit back and wait, This is a time to do things like what you're doing a master's or working, whatever, but not just sitting back, waiting for things to get better and hoping someone's going to hire you, because as you just said, it's just going to get more and more competitive. So, yeah,
I think the idea of a master's is really good. And definitely should pursue something else other than just being a pilot right now.
Yeah, you should diversify in other fields if you're interested in other fields. I have many friends who are starting in the real estate. I mean, you never know. The industry, it goes up and down every 10 years, 80 years, whatever it is. It's a good piece of advice to get more education for sure. And if it's not related into aviation, it's even a plus.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
Yeah, and I have kind of a fun question. If you got to talk to Sergio from 5 years ago, what would you tell him?
I would be still in the university at that point. I would still I'd probably be an instructor. I was an instructor then. So I would say I would emphasize more to myself the importance of diversifying, the importance of continuing to seek additional education, as a volunteer, mentor, because I knew important back then, but I didn't really know how important it was until COVID happened, and I started to realize that that how things can change very quickly. So take advantage of the time that you have, whether you're an instructor, still a student. Take advantage of the time you have, because they're gonna look at that when you go apply, and they're gonna ask you questions about what you did and what you were doing. And if you just tell them you were sitting back and building your hours as an instructor and that's it's okay. I mean, you were doing what you're supposed to do, but it doesn't show that you were actually taking the extra step to become better as a professional. So they will ask those questions, I'm sure, as part of an interview process in the future, for those who couldn't make it to the airlines because of this hiring pause. And whether you answer right or wrong, there's not right or wrong answer, but doing additional things will give you more points in an interview and probably get you the job.
Yeah, of course. Totally. And thank you very much for that. And for our last question, I mean, I know you didn't get the chance to like fly any of those airplanes a lot, but if you had to choose between the A320 or the Boeing 737, from what you've seen, which one would you choose and why?
So I didn't get to actually fly the 737. I was caught in the middle. It was stopped in the middle of training, but I actually got to be in the simulator a couple times on it, and I got to land the airplane a couple times and do some maneuvers on it and a lot of approaches. I mean, I got the handle of it. So comparing the two, I probably say the 737 because you just actually fly it. The Airbus is very laid back and doesn't require a lot of your attention. I mean, it does require your attention, but it's very automated. So the 737 needs you to be on your game all the time. It's a great airplane, but it's also very complex in a way. So it's not easy to handle. It's not easy to learn the flows. It's a lot more complex. So, but I like that challenge. I like the extra challenge on from coming from Embraer and Airbus. I like that extra work that I had to put in, and it's very fun to fly.
Did you choose to fly this Boeing 737 or the company assigned it to you?
So yeah, we had a choice. About about 5 airplanes, I think. 737, it was A320. The 717, the MD-88, and the Airbus 220. And you just had to put in priorities, which one you wanted first, which one you wanted last. I think the 737 was my top choice. And then I had the Airbus, actually, the 320, I had the 220, and then the 717, and then last was the MD-88.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that one for sure you won't fly it anymore.
Yeah. So, yeah, exactly. We had a few people in our class who were assigned to it, and they were flying, or they were training for it, and they will never be able to fly it again. So it's, but yeah,
Well,
they
hopefully you'll get the chance to fly the 737 sometime soon, and we'll for sure ask you the question again in the future. So you can tell us what it's actually like.
That'll be fun.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much for being here with us today.
Thanks.
Okay, great. So thank you so much. And it's been really a pleasure speaking with you. And yeah, for everyone watching, don't forget to follow him on social media. He's on Instagram as at pilot.sergio. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram as at Jus As Pilot and to visit our website, justaspilot.com. And thank you. And we're looking forward to see you again soon.
Thank you.